तो एक सिंपल सी बात पूछना चाहूंगा, क्या आप टैंगो की अग्नि परीक्षा के लिए तैयार हैं? Thank you so much, for joining us, and thank you so much, Marcelo, the Honorable DCM. Thank you so much, Instituto Cervantes, Isabel, the cultural manager here, the director, Maria, ambassador of Argentina, Mariano, who is a great cultural ambassador for both our countries. He's really amazing. The architect wife, Barbara, who is really very, very deeply invested in bringing India and Argentina together. So I really feel privileged because I shared a very, very strong and long association with both Instituto Cervantes as well as with Argentina. And today, we had this very, very special film. This is a film, which is not just about words. There's so much more. And sometimes, as the great Charlie Chaplin said, the words can be really futile. But I think today the words are also going to mean a lot because we have with us the director and we have with us, the amazing person who's going to tell us some amazing insights about tango, And of course, the film deals in that beautifully. I really love the idea of tango and how it brought together these two different worlds. Saya, why don't you tell us a little, about the origins of this film? Because I understand that there is this world of the rickshaw driver, the auto driver Malhar, who is a protagonist. And then there is this amazing, intricate, and very sophisticated world of the tango. What made you bring these two worlds together?
Firstly, this is overwhelming to see this packed auditorium to watch the movie. I'm so grateful that you guys stayed till the end. I hope it's for more than just the Argentina empanadas and cocktails that follow. But thanks a lot. Yeah, so I'm a tango dancer myself. Um, tango came into my life during COVID, where like we were kind of isolated from other people, and it really made a difference in kind of um, finding that connection and finding that human touch that I was missing for so long in that period of time. It was very difficult for a lot of people. And Manish, who's my teacher and who also plays the teacher on screen and also teaches with Gladys incidentally when she's in Pune. Um, and I were talking about what a privilege it is to be exposed to such a wonderful dance and to experience this connection with another human being in the form of a dance. That why isn't it more accessible to a more general public? And when we were talking about this, we talked about how in India in particular, and also in many other cultures in Europe and so on, it really is accessible only to the elite, the privileged part of the world. Whereas in Argentina, the roots really are like tango is for everyone, right? So that's kind of what we wanted to explore, and we thought, okay, it would be interesting to see if a rickshawala came into our community, how would we embrace that? And how would he feel in a community that is so elite, where even intimacy and things that you see that are not very common in, at least openly common in the Indian culture, happen. So that's kind of why we used this story to kind of express that.
We definitely like to explore a little more, but I want you to comment upon first, of course, the relevance of tango since you work with the Indian community a lot. Would love to have your thoughts on what it is like to communicate in the language of tango with Indian people, and also what are your thoughts on this film?
Buenas noches a todos. Gracias por hacer esta película. Because since long time I'm teaching all over the world, 34 years already.
Wow.
Now 12 in India, visiting regularly, and it's probably my favorite experience here because tonight there's many of my students here.
Can we have the hands up? Like, oh my God, yeah, wow. You are really bringing tango to India. Wow, amazing.
The exchange of cultures and what the result from that. This is the interesting thing because you don't know the lyrics of tango. Most of them, they've never been in Argentina because it's so far costly, but the sensibility that Indians have, I cannot compare with any other country in the world. I live in Europe. I'm based in Europe in the last 35 years. At the present, I'm resident in Qatar, first tango teacher there. Since then, it's official, it's legal. And I have a wonderful project for this year. And it's to compete in Buenos Aires in the World Championship with an Indian.
Wow.
So this is a challenge for me this year, because how to represent India in the most elegant and unique way, because it's my culture. I'm from Buenos Aires, but I have a long way to do from now till August to find exactly the synchrony with my dance partner and be on the stage. Gracias, gracias. Otra vez.
Thank you so much for your opening comments. We'll definitely come to you and would love a little more insight. But I also want to tell you, that this relationship that India and Argentina shares, exactly 101 years ago, the great Guru Rabindranath Tagore, he visited Argentina and he made friends with a very important figure of Argentinian, literature, Victorio Ocampo. And we celebrated 100 years of Tagore's visit and the friendship between Rabindranath Tagore and Victoria Ocampo last year. Here, first we screened a film called Thinking of Him, and then after that, the Kolkata International Film Festival had a special screening because the director of that film, Pablo Cesar, was also there, and the filmmaker Suraj Kumar, who has co-produced that film, was also there. So this relation is very strong, and I think Tango is making it stronger. And so, big round of applause to wonderful lady, who's really inculcating the DNA, Indian DNA with the charms of tango, and also big round of applause once again for Saya, who has really made this beautiful film, which I think really takes the idea of Lavani and tango together to the next level, because the energy is the same. I feel the magic is the same, but there is something about tango, which is very, very different from what we have perceived with the idea of Lavani or with the idea of Marathi cinema, because the Marathi culture is so deeply rooted. It's always very strong inwards, but your film is forcing us to look in a very different way the world that of course you inhabit, the world that we have seen for the longest time in our films, in Marathi cinema particularly. But I also see the idea of local and the global coming together. What was the challenge for you, the biggest challenges for bringing these two worlds together?
So actually, Marcello talked about how the two cultures are very different. But actually, I was in Buenos Aires 2 years ago before making the film. And what I observed is that culturally, actually, we are very, very similar. We share a lot of the same values. We all love to dance. We love music.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So in fact, there's a lot that actually binds us. But there are differences in terms of like showing intimacy, in terms of like embracing each other in public, the comfort that two genders have in with each other, and those are the differences that we try to also bring about. But like at the crux, at the core, we are very, very, very similar, and we like both like to celebrate life in different ways. That's why you brought up Lavani, you brought up like there's theater, there's dhol, there's a lot of dance and a lot of celebration that's within us that we like to express. And this is just a different way and a different way to experience that. So that's what I tried to bring out. And that was a challenge that was the biggest challenge or difference.
You say that it's a challenge, but I would say कि आपने अग्नि परीक्षा सफलता से पार किया. You have really, nailed it. I would say, if ever there was something that could have been a challenge, you really, nailed it on the big screen, and we all, saw it unraveling itself. Could you tell a little about, the experiences of watching this film here with this amazing audience, because as a dancer, as a teacher, you have experienced that energy. But to see it unraveling on the screen, what was the experience like?
I was so touched because all happened in India, but sometimes I was thinking about those little neighborhoods in Buenos Aires suburbs. And yeah, it's similar. It's totally, yes, so close, so different at the same time. But this is the magic.
I think magic is
La
the word,
magia,
yeah.
la magia.
Beautiful. I want to come to you a little. I'll come to you, Professor, like in a second. I also would like to introduce Professor S.P. Ganguly, who is really, a living legend, and he's a great connect and bridge between India and the Hispanic world. I would definitely come to you for a comment after this question. So I want to understand a little about the casting choices and of course the use of music, because a lot of you who probably are already aware of the great Sangeet Samrat Tansen, who was one of the Nauratans in Mughal Emperor Akbar's court. It is said that when he used to sing Rag Malhar, it used to rain, the clouds would open up and suddenly, it used to rain. That was the power of the Rag Malhar. And you have specifically chosen the name Malhar for your protagonist. So I want to understand a little, the logic behind using this title and of course the work with the protagonist and the casting in particular.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great observation. So the name Malhar was chosen quite deliberately. It's kind of subtle. I don't know how many people caught it, but basically we implied that the father had a connection to Sangeet, to music, and hence he probably named the kid Malhar. And the Easter egg is the last Tango Malhar song is actually a Indian classical tango. I think one of the first of its kind, but it's in Rag Malhar. It has the patterns of this particular type of music. So yeah, so the music was actually one of the most interesting things to work on. So we like almost 80% of all the music in the film is an original composition with, sorry. Yeah, and also we like there were Marathi tangos, there's tango hip hop, so we got to explore all these different genres. There's even some AI generated music if you got it, because of course we were working on a low budget and had to couldn't afford copyrights for a lot of the music. But we also collaborated with some Argentine artists, so Tango Bardo for those, I'm sure the tango dancers here know about them, and Pablo Montanelli, who also collaborates in India quite a bit. So there was a lot of different collaborations to make this possible musically.
Tell me one more thing. Like you said that you yourself are a tango dancer. I want to understand how much of you, as the dancer of tango, was in that film.
Do you mean as a cameo?
No, I want to understand the dance, the moves that you have learned. How much of that was in the movie? Because you had that choice.
Yeah, so we had a choice to make when we were casting. Like, should we use tango dancers who are non-actors to play the characters, or should we use actors and then train them how to dance? And the real challenge in tango is it's an improvisational dance, right? So the biggest thing is to be in the moment and be able to follow or lead. But the advantage you have when you're making a movie is you can edit. So the conscious choice we made is to choose a good actor who doesn't know how to dance and then kind of train them for very specific steps. So that's kind of what we ended up doing. And like Malhar, the main actor, I don't know if you caught it, but he's definitely not a dancer. It took quite a while to work with him to make him not as rigid, not as stiff. And it worked to the advantage because he's a beginner dancer even in the film. But Rani, his sister, was a natural. Like from the get-go, she just picked it up, and it just happened. Some people are that natural. So, and in terms of me as a dancer, what's reflected is all of what I experienced as a tango dancer. And when I show this to a tango crowd, many people relate and resonate with many of the things, like being rejected at a milonga, on the dance floor. How hard it is to go and ask someone to dance, and just to pick up on the slow learning curve. All those elements I try to capture in the film.
Can we have a mic in the audience? We have Professor S.P. Ganguly with us. He is a very distinguished professor, scholar, and as I said, a great cultural bridge between India and the Hispanic world. Professor, please feel free to add to anything that we are missing out.
Thank you. No. You're not missing out anything. There are two small comments that I would like to add to whatever you were saying. One is this whole problem of change within Argentina from the earlier part of the 20th century, when it was, let's say, Buenos Aires, if it represented Argentina, it was called by literary personalities Argentine personalities, a orthodox literary city. Orthodox literary city. From there, the travel has taken place to the extent that it is now accepted as a heterodox literary city, which means there are so many influences, there are so many interactions with other cultures, and of course, if I would go into Tagore and Argentina, that would be, I have to spend hours here. But the second comment that I would like to point out is, you see, what is very, very thrilling in this projection is, the way it has been filmed. You see, the language of the film world, the way that has been used. There is no, intention of imposing a filmic language. So we are aware of many of such uses of the film itself as a medium. I'm not going into the theme at all. The way the film has been made, for example, the last patting of the foot on the slipper, itself is a great explanation of what has happened. As an end to the whole episode, one doesn't have to say anything more. Like that, there are so many instances where he or she, they don't have to be melodramatic. There is no melodrama in the film at all.
Very very well observed, Professor.
So this method of filmmaking, and I'm surprised, and this is a question that I was going to ask, if the filmmakers have some long experience in filmmaking, because I have seen this, happening in Satyajit Ray, in Mrinal Sen, happening in later films of these personalities, where the filmmaking itself becomes an explanation without going into telling the story, the way the film is made. So I was very curious whether these filmmakers have a long experience in the making of the film, because no part of the film has been exaggerated. There has been no extra emphasis on anything. It has been a very, very smooth working, networking of different scenarios, which has led to this final conclusion. This was my second comment. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor S.P. Ganguly. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause to him. You should definitely listen to him. I can just sit next to him and just listen to him for like ever. He's amazing. Thank you so much, Professor Saab. Would love to have a quick comment from you on Professor's second observation. Could you throw some light on that?
Sure. Firstly, to be compared to Satyajit Ray, I'm really humbled. I don't think I'd go that far, but I really appreciate your comment. Actually, this is my first film. My background is in engineering, and it's completely different. I'm trying to make a pivot into this industry. And I think maybe it so happened that since tango is also a very, very non-verbal way of communication and expressing without words, maybe that's one of the strong reasons why it translated into the film as well. And that was the intent, so I'm really glad it came across. But one comment on the melodrama, in fact, because trap tango is so melodramatic and kind of over the top and exaggerated, if you guys noticed, many scenes were kind of staged as if it was in theater, and sort of with the uses of lighting and the use of acting was meant to be a little bit over the top, but deliberately so, and I'm glad it wasn't, it hit the spot and wasn't overdone. But I really, really appreciate the comment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are actually joined by another very distinguished personality, Mr. Tango Malhar, who is an Emmy-nominated filmmaker from New York. And for the last 3.5 decades, he's been making films about Indian Americans in New York. And just now I was sitting beside him and he was telling me about his tango experiences in New York. Mr. Malik, can somebody pass on the mic to Mr. Malik? And I would love a quick comment from you. What is it like to have tango lessons or tango experiences in New York? Please, Mr. Malik.
Well, New York is
Please.
New York is a great experience, but this film was really so wonderful, and I feel like we should have a tango party too. But you were really great. I love this entire film, and of course the whole team as well. Thank you. Tango is very beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I also want to come to you, for one very important observation, and if you like to add anything. When you are starting out, teaching tango to somebody who is not from that culture, I understand that, for Argentinians, it's like living, breathing. But, of course, but when you are working with people for whom tango is something new, what are the biggest challenges that you have to face to begin with, And how long does it take to bring them in the comfort zone and making it as natural for them as, say, an Argentinian? The magic takes over. How beautiful. Saya, there was a very conscious move. You really made us understand and you really transported us in those two different worlds. I could see that this is Malhar and he's having some issues. There's a sense of discomfort initially. He is not able to have that level of comfort, while, doing this tango. How challenging was it to make it look as organic as possible? Of course, I understand that since Malhar is a non-dancer, it was, a little more helpful for you. But it really comes out well, that this thing that she also touches upon, that initially, with communities or with groups of people who are not as comfortable with the physical contact, it's a little bit of a challenge. So how conscious were you in depicting this?
Very, very conscious. I think that's one of the cruxes of the film is just his journey and how he gets comfortable with the dance. So even things like his posture, and this is very deliberate. So we chalked out the entire movie in terms of different stages of the film and what his posture should be. So even when riding the rickshaw in the beginning, it should be a little slumped over riding, and then tango gives you that confidence when you're walking, and his posture and his outlook changes. But because films are not shot synchronously, right? You film scenes not in the same order. It was a deliberate thing. It's like, okay, we're going to do like, you're in posture number 3 now, or you're in this kind of attitude. So it was a very, very deliberate instruction because that's actually a very important part of the comfort level you have in just your movement has to evolve over the film. So that was, it was great that you observed that, but that was very, very deliberate.
I think it has come out really well. I will come to the audience questions now, but before we open up to the audiences, I want to have some insights from you about the forthcoming journey with this film. Like, what are your release plans? Are you going to take it to other festivals? What's going to be the journey like with this film, especially since it's your debut film?
Yeah, so I think production is one half of it. Distribution is a whole new ballgame. It's something I'm just figuring out right now. So I have submitted to several film festivals across the world. My dream is to show this in Buenos Aires. I really hope that the committee there accepts the film and shows it on that platform.
Is Marcelo around or the ambassador? They can probably take this into consideration and
That's the first part, and then secondly we'll do a limited release in Maharashtra, it being a Marathi film. And then hopefully it gets picked up by an OTT so that others around the world can see it. But if all else apart, I'm collaborating with different tango communities across the world to host, like free screenings so that people are able to see what tango in India is like.
Do you think that something can be done, like through your intervention in this, like more and more people can watch this film through some efforts maybe in Europe and elsewhere?
Let's bring this movie everywhere.
Wow. I also want a quick comment from Marcelo since he's here, there was a plea and a request that has come in. She wants to screen this film in Buenos Aires. So, are you up to the challenge? Can we expect some help from the Argentinian embassy to take this film to Buenos Aires, rest of Argentina, Latin America, and the rest of the world? Can we have a quick comment from Mr. Marcelo?
Hello?
DCM.
Yes, well, I've been talking with Saya about this, and of course we should try to do that. Count on us. I mean, we're trying to canalize this request, and I think it will be a wonderful movie to show, not only for India, but also from Argentina, the Argentine point of view, how Indians see tango, you know? And most of people in Argentina do not know that people dance tango here, you know? So, for sure.
That is the question.
Yes.
But are you teaching tango in India?
And you know what? You're like a cultural ambassador to us. One of the things that I love of screening this movie here is that it's tango explained by an Indian, you know? This is, I mean, one of the best ways for people to understand our culture, right? So definitely count on us.
So now I would open it to the audiences. Like, if you have any questions, any observations, we have with us, you know, the wonderful teacher of tango who has been teaching tango for over 3 decades, and in India alone for the last 12 years. And we have the wonderful director Saya with us who made this beautiful film. Or if you have any questions from the Argentinian embassy, we have the deputy ambassador here, Mr. Marcelo, or any question to me or Mr. Malik or anybody, and Professor Ganguly, of course, you know, who really is this amazing bridge between India and the Hispanic world. So please, feel free to raise your hands, and I think we'll have the, second row. Can we have the mic there for the lady, Ma'am, please introduce yourself, and then you can ask the question.
Hi, I'm Meena, and I'm close friends of Trilogy, who is from New York. I'm also from New York.
Welcome.
Thank you much. Enjoyed watching the movie. I don't have a question, but I have a compliment to share. You opened my mind because we saw girls dancing, boys dancing, and by default, because of media, we just presume they are couples or they're pairs, they're in love. Even brother-sister relationship that close, you know, it opened up my mind that dance is something different. And you said it's about body, listening to the soul, listening to the body, and really, it opened up my mind, and I enjoyed. And last scene where mother was tapping her feet, that said all. Like mother came on board. So just wanted to compliment. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can we have the mic in the first row for the gentleman? Okay, the lady first. We can have the ladies first. Sandra, movie maker.
I'm a journalist. I'm doing a documentary about Western point of view about Indian culture and what are all our prejudices about this culture that if you don't know it very deeply, is very easy to stay in the surface. And I was really very interesting about the brother and sister relationship because tango is seen in the world as very central.
I think it's beautiful.
And
It's
that
beautiful.
you did something that is really interesting. You showed it, and I could feel that. I mean, I'm not a specialist in cinema or anything. But the other thing also is that what I've been investigating for the last 2 years for this documentary is about the strong culture that you have here in India, in different levels, in different, you know, in music that is not written. Today we were talking about that. In the gods, in the pilgrimage, like now Mahakumbha and all this, you have so strong culture, and you could show when you showed the Mahabharata, and at the same time after that they dance in tango. It was great. I mean, you joined two cultures in the same screen. I was just filming the screen where that was happening. Yeah, so that is really very good, and I really think that the world has been globalized already. No? So we are late to do something before. So this is a wonderful way of saying we can respect the culture and even join with some things and merge some things that can be interesting as the scheme, no? Between brothers. That is something that is great and is not very used in India. Thank you.
That's true. There is a prejudice. There is like this implication that the tango is only sensual, which is not true because actually the genesis in Argentina is that they dance with their siblings. Yeah, that's how girls are actually exposed to tango. So that's kind of what I wanted to show here. I'm glad that moved you. Um,
Yeah, gentlemen.
Yeah, my name is Kabir. I'm from Delhi and science graduate into advertising, and I joined Tango in 2016, 1st of October.
Wow.
So if I minus 2 years of COVID, so it's almost 6 years of Tango life. And let me tell you one thing, Tango has actually brought cultures together. And this being a very, very special month as far as India is concerned, because Kumbh is happening. People from all over the world are visiting Prayagraj because it's a very special month. A lot of planets are in a line, and I must congratulate my friend Saya. I never thought that a follower in Pune will take the lead and will become a director of a movie which is highlighting tango. It's really, really amazing. Congratulations to Sarah, and I'm very happy my teacher Gladys is also there on the stage. So congratulations to the entire tango community, international community, and very many thanks to the Argentine embassy for bringing and encouraging a director like young director like her, and special thanks to the Argentinian embassy also for really supporting us, all the communities, not in Delhi, Bombay, Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad, all over India. It's just a beginning, and I'm telling you, this movie will really help build a bigger tango community in India. It's a highly, thickly populated country. It's a beautiful country with various cultures, and this is the country which is bringing cultures from all over the world. So thank you very much, Sarah, and to all the audience here, to all the Delhiites, friends, I should bring forward Barbara. Please come. I want Barbara to be with me. I want Alessandra. If you can just stand up there. Delhi Tango Space. Nilambuj, Karan, and then Ashwini, Rupali, it's a small group of people. Delhi Tango Space is organizing the first International Tango Festival in August 22nd, 23rd, 24th of 2025. We request all of you to support us, to help us build this community. And Saya is, as she promised, you take my film, free screening for everyone. Beautiful, beautiful, and lovely. Friends, let me just tell you one thing. Tango is just an ordinary dance. It's not a dance. It's peace. It's love. It's a very, very spiritual dance, and everybody should get into it. All the dance forms are beautiful, but tango is different. It's really different. We have experienced it, and once you are into it, you see, it really it transforms lives worldwide. It's happening. So thank you, Saya. Thank you, Gladys. Thank you, Cervantes.
Thank you so much. Wonderful words. I would also like to add, a big thank you to Instituto Cervantes. We have had the director with us, the cultural manager Isabel, director Miss Maria. I think this whole team, needs a big applause, I think we have some more time, maybe a couple of more questions. Like at the back, I see that a lot of you are cheering but not asking. Yeah, there's a gentleman, towards the end. I can see a hand there. Yeah, there. Can we have the mic there? Can someone please pass on the mic?
I have a mic, so can
Okay, please, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
My name is Ashutosh. I work for a newspaper called the Economic Times. And I'm not here, I'm just here out of curiosity and interest. And allow me an observation, very brief observation, and then the question. The soul part came out very clearly in the movie. The bodies, the dancers, we saw them. What made you work on the mind behind it? So the mind, body, and soul comes out. That's my question.
I think it's a very interesting question. You want to take it up?
Yeah, so the theme, if you noticed, even Manish, the tango teacher, talking, he talks about connection, and he talks about how the most important connection is connecting with yourself. And really, when you are dancing tango, it's this weird mix of being 100% present, but at the same time letting go, because you have to be in the moment and just flow. So that's the mind piece. I think it's really a walking meditation. Like you should I think it's difficult to have an experience that someone else has had. I encourage people to try out tango, and then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And I hope some of that came across in the film. I hope that satisfies.
Yeah. I will come to you. Barbara, do you want to add something from your own experiences of doing tango in Delhi? I think audience would love that, coming from you. Can we have a mic here? Please.
First of all, congratulations to Saya. Thank you. And of course to Gladys, because tango requires a lot of time, a lot of work. It's a developing of our humans beings. And something that I really like it from the movie is that tango is not just dancing. It, as Kabil said and share, it becomes like some kind of religion or philosophy of life. Tango changed our lives. That's my message.
We come to you.
First of all, this question is a very unique and very interesting question, what you have asked. See, mind, body and soul, it's what everybody should focus on. While you dance tango, what we have experienced, what we experience is, like, we have to leave everything. Our thoughts, where we were, imagine a person who's into business or into work, when he gets into tango, gradually as he builds up, he forgets everything. He forgets his family, he forgets his work, he forgets his status. And you are in a state of nothingness. And that's where, and breathing also plays a very big role while we are dancing. Breathe in and breathe out. So it really works on your mind, it really makes you peaceful, and it's calmer, and you're at a different level when you're deep into tango dancing. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely correct. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Come out in the best possible way.
Yeah.
Mike, if you allow me, add one last comment.
Please, please.
Yeah, the major problem is to get over the psychological boundaries. That because, in this community which has been shown, there is a psychological obstacle, impediment, existing. How do you get over this psychological impediment? Now, this psychological impediment also occurs in other fields. For example, in language, it occurs. For example, in Spain or in some other countries, between the father and the son, they use very, very curse words, which will never be accepted in India. How do you teach very good Spanish unless you accept those curse words as natural expressions of that language spoken in those countries? So there is a psychological, impediment that exists even for us teaching or going into other spheres. So here the major component is, I think, how most spontaneously, without forcing anything on us, the movie has been able to transcend that psychological impediment that exists in accepting, this dance form in our culture. So that has been done very spontaneously. This is the charm of this movie. Nothing has been shown, as something forced, and I'm very, very surprised that the person is saying that they have no experience of, dealing with films in this manner. Well, Satyajit also, when he did his first film, he had no experience.
Pathe Panchali.
Panchali, the scenes that come to our mind and, are stuck to our minds for years together are scenes from that particular film. And I am sure that many of the ways in which the pressures, the psychological pressures, get removed spontaneously without forcing us to believe that or see that, that is the most, the best output that this film has been able to produce. Thank you so much.
See, today I had promised you that words will not be so futile. So thank you so much once again, Professor Saab. And I had promised to you also that we'll come to you. So please, yes, please.
Sorry, sorry to interrupt. Is you okay? Last question?
Yes, yes, of course.
And we go
Yeah, no, I promised to the gentleman, so this is the last question,
Thank you so much.
please.
Thank you so very much. My name is Sachin, and I have a question for Saya. First of all, many congratulations for the movie. It's such a wonderful masterpiece you have tailored. My question to you is like, as you mentioned that you are coming from the engineering background, and I want to know like what drives you to follow the path of direction.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I chose engineering as well is because fundamentally I like to build, I like to create and problem solve. And honestly, filmmaking is no different, it's just a concentrated version of that, where I think I was able to more directly tell stories, which is the other aspect that I felt was missing in my engineering career. But other than that, like, everything from figuring out how to mount a camera on a rickshaw and film through the city to orchestrating that performance at the end with a very low budget, getting people to kind of show up and then also creatively edit, use AI in certain scenes to get the music done and so on, was all problem solving in engineering. So I think a lot of the stuff that I have studied and worked in actually came in very handy. It's just a medium that kind of speaks to me more and I want to get deeper into. So yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, a big thank you to you, for being such an active and participating audiences. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Saya. Thank you so much for bringing those international experiences of teaching tango, and thank you so much for so deeply encouraging the Indian sentiment towards tango. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, the Embassy of Argentina. Thank you so much, Instituto Cervantes, who are really instrumental in bringing the Hispanic world together. And thank you so much, everybody who has been a part of this film and for bringing this film, to this wonderful audience this evening. Thank you so much.